Hello there, welcome or welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hi, my name is Samantha and this is my channel where I talk all about books. Anyway, today I am coming to you with a video looking forward to next year. We're going to be talking about my anticipated releases for 2025. I haven't done an anticipated releases video in such a long time because, to be honest, I feel like I haven't been keeping on top of things that much. I hadn't really started that many series or anything, but I actually feel like I have quite a few that I'm looking forward to for next year. We're going to go for all of the ones for the first half of the year, so we're going all the way to June. I'm sure that not all of the books have been announced, but I just kind of looked on Goodreads, to be honest, at the upcoming releases, and I used that to build this list. Before I get started, I just want to mention that I live in England, so all of these release dates are the British release date that I'm aware of. They probably overlap somewhere, or normally they're a couple days apart between here and the US. If it's different from what you know, that's because I live in England. Anyway, let's just start off with the books that are coming out in January. Okay, so the first book we're going to talk about is A Sea of Unspoken Things by Adrienne Young. This is coming out on the 7th of January, and from what I remember, this book is following a woman who is investigating the mysterious death of her brother and trying to figure out what happened there. I feel like Adrienne Young typically writes sort of mysteries with a sort of magical feel to them, and her writing is very lyrical and beautiful. I did actually just read a book by her in November called Spells for Forgetting, and I didn't actually like that very much, but I have also read her newer release, which was The Unmaking of June Farrow, and I really enjoyed that. So hopefully I'll also enjoy this one. And like I said, this is coming out on the 7th of January. Another one that is coming out on the 7th of January is Four Ruined Realms by May Corland. This is the sequel to Five Broken Blades, which I read earlier this year and I enjoyed. I didn't love it, but I am curious to see where it goes. This is just a duology, I believe, so this will be the last one. I have a feeling it's going to be similar to the first book, but we will see. If you don't know what Five Broken Blades is about, it basically follows 6 characters who are all involved in a conspiracy to kill the king. If I remember correctly, it's like a thief, an assassin, a courtesan, a few other people. I can't exactly remember everyone involved, but there were 6 POVs, which is quite a lot, and also there's a lot of romance involved, but it's not overly smutty like a lot of romantasy I've been reading recently. So yeah, I would say this is definitely more fantasy than romance, but there is romance involved. It was alright. I think it was overhyped, but I'm still excited to read the next one and see what happens. The next one that I have is coming out on the 16th of January, and this is called The Favorites by Lane Fargo. This is like a historical literary fiction book, which to me is giving Taylor Jenkins Reid vibes, which is high praise. It reminds me a little bit of The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, mixed with sort of Daisy Jones and the Six a little bit. It's basically following 2 figure skaters who worked together in the past, and then something happened at the Olympics which meant that they never skated again. And they also had a personal relationship as well as a professional relationship, and now I think 20 years have passed and a documentary is coming out about them, and so it's kind of reignited the public interest into this couple. And the woman, whose name I can't remember, she wants to set the story straight and tell her story the way that she wants it to be told. So yeah, it's giving me similar vibes to a few different Taylor Jenkins Reid books in terms of the way that it's told, from what I know without having read it yet. But I do have an arc of this and I am planning to read it in December, so I will let you know my thoughts as soon as I've read it. But I think that one sounds really interesting and maybe you want to add it to your TBR as well. Alright, the final book for January is coming out on January 21st, and it is Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros, the highly anticipated 3rd book in the Empyrean series. I think there are going to be 5 books. If you are caught up with the series, you know that Iron Flame ended on a bit of a cliffhanger, a bit of a major cliffhanger, and I am tentatively excited for Onyx Storm. I think it's really good that she took more time between releases, because that was an issue I had with Iron Flame. I think she was really rushed with the release between Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. It didn't seem like she took enough time, and you could really tell because Iron Flame was messy. I don't think it was particularly well executed, and I didn't have the best time with that book. So going into Onyx Storm, I'm trying to temper my expectations a little bit, but I think because she's taking a little bit more time, hopefully it will be better. If you don't know what Fourth Wing is about, where have you been? But Fourth Wing is basically set in this war college where people are trained up to become dragon riders and basically fight for the kingdom for whatever reason. I can't exactly remember. It's also an enemies to lovers romantasy, which is lots of fun. Now that I'm talking about it, I want to reread it, but also I don't want to reread it because I have too much going on right now. Okay, now moving on to February. I only have 2 books on my radar for February. So the first one is coming out on the 13th, and that is First Time Caller by B.K. Borison. And this is her first release not in the Lovelight Farms series. It's actually the start of a new series apparently apparently called the Heartstrings series. And I can't exactly remember what this one is about, so I'm going to read you the synopsis. A hopeless romantic meets a jaded radio host in this cozy, sleepless in Seattle-inspired love story. Aiden Valentine has a secret. He's fallen out of love with love. And as the host of Baltimore's romance hotline, that's a bit of a problem. But when a young girl calls into the station asking for dating advice for her mom, the interview goes viral, thrusting Aiden and Heartstrings into the limelight. Lucy Stone thought she was doing just fine. She has a good job, an incredible family, and a smart, slightly devious kid. But when all of Baltimore is suddenly scrutinizing her love life, or lack thereof, she begins to question if she's as happy as she thought. Maybe a little more romance wouldn't be such a bad thing. Everyone wants Lucy to find her happy ending, even the handsome, temperamental man calling the shots. But when sparks start to fly behind the scenes, Lucy must make the final call between the radio-sponsored Happily Ever After or the man in the headphones next to her. Ooh, that sounds fun. I feel like I quite like the trope where someone is like not really looking for romance and then they're kind of thrown into it by an outside force. I've read a couple books like that, not that any are coming to mind right now, but they can be quite fun. So yeah, I'm excited for that. I did enjoy the Love Light Farm series as a whole, so hopefully this one will be good. The next one I have is Wooing the Witch Queen by Stephanie Burgess, and this is coming out on February 20th. And this one is a cozy romantasy, I believe, and I am very excited for this one. I think it sounds really fun. So let me read you what it says. In a gaslamp-lit world where hags and ogres lurk in thick pine forests, three magical queens form an uneasy alliance to protect their lands from invasion, and love turns their worlds upside down. Queen Saskia is the wicked sorceress everyone fears. After successfully wresting the throne from her evil uncle, she only wants one thing: to keep her people safe from the empire next door. For that, she needs to spend more time in her laboratory experimenting with her spells. She definitely doesn't have time to bring order to her chaotic library of magic. When a mysterious dark wizard arrives at her castle, Saskia hires him as her new librarian on the spot. Fabian is sweet and a little nerdy, and his requests seem a little strange. What in the name of divine Elva is a fountain pen? But he's getting the job done. And if he writes her flirtatious poetry and his innocent touch makes her skin singe, well, little does Saskia know, the wizard she is falling for is actually an imperial archduke in disguise, with no magical training whatsoever. On the run with perilous secrets on his trail and a fast-growing yearning for the wicked sorceress, he's in danger from her enemies and her newfound allies too. When his identity is finally revealed, will their love save or doom each other? I think that sounds so fun and cozy. I'm really excited for this one. I actually have an arc of this as well, so I'll probably be reading this in January. Very excited for that. It sounds really fun. Anyway, moving on to March, I have 3 books on my radar for March. The first one is called Something Like Fate by Amy Lee. Amy Lee is the author of the Influencer trilogy, which starts with Set on You, and then the sequel is X's Nose, which is my personal favorite. I read it last year and I really loved it. I think so far I've read everything she's written and I've enjoyed most of them, but some of them have not been my favorite. I'm excited for her to branch out into a standalone again. So let's see what this one's about. For generations, the fortune-telling women in Lo Zhao Jensen's family have foreseen the one, the great loves of their lives, before ever meeting them. Except for Lo, who has 0 psychic abilities, just memories of old rom-coms and a lot of poor judgment when it comes to love. Until now, when Lo has the vision she's been waiting for, her delighted aunties are convinced she'll meet the one on her backpacking trip in Italy. Vera Amore, here she comes. Along for the summer is Lo's best friend and confidant, Teller Owens, her opposite in every way. Upon arrival in Venice, Lo is saved from a runaway trolley by Caleb, a fellow backpacker. It's a meet cute so soony it has to be fate. But with each destination, Lo's complicated feelings for Teller are becoming harder to ignore. From the cobblestone streets of Rome to the rocky cliffs of Amalfi, Lo begins to wonder if fate has other plans. That sounds fun. A nice little romp in Italy. Sounds like a great summer read. I'm excited for that one as well. I've never been to Italy, but I definitely want to go at some point. So maybe next year will be the year and I could read this book. We'll see. Probably not, but we will see. The next one I've got is The Ragpicker King by Cassandra Clare. This is coming out on the 4th of March. This one is on here tentatively because I'm planning to read Swordcatcher this month, and this is the sequel to Swordcatcher. So I will only be picking this one up if I like Swordcatcher, obviously. But yeah, this is coming out on the 4th of March, like I said. I believe that these are fantasy with a little bit of romance, and it's her first adult series. So I'm very excited to get into Swordcatcher this month. I know that it follows 2 characters. Our first character is called Kel, and he is the sword catcher for the prince. So basically he's like the bodyguard. And our other character is called Lynn, and she's a physician, a part of a community ostracized for its rare magical abilities. And there's a failed assassination attempt, and it brings her and Kel together, and they are drawn into the web of the mysterious Ragpicker King. I am excited to read this one this month, and if I like it, which hopefully I will, then I will pick up the sequel in March next year. And the last one that I've got that's coming out in March is actually my most anticipated book of the year. That is Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. I never thought we were going to get this book. When she announced that there was going to be a prequel a few years ago, I think we all thought it was going to be this book, but instead we got The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. So I thought that was going to be it. I thought, you know, she wrote the prequel, but it wasn't the one we wanted, and I thought that was it. And then this one was announced, and honestly, when I saw the news, I spent the entire rest of the day just absolutely buzzing with excitement. It was so annoying because I was at work with someone who hasn't read or watched The Hunger Games, and so she didn't understand the hype that I was feeling about this release. Yeah, if you don't know, this is Hamish's book, and I cannot wait. I'm planning to reread the Hunger Games trilogy before this comes out, and I am just so excited to be transported back to when I was 14 reading the Hunger Games for the first time, except I also don't want to be 14 ever again, and luckily I won't be because that's not possible. I'm excited to get that feeling again. Can't wait for that. March 18th cannot come soon enough. Okay, sorry if anything changed a little bit. My battery died. Anyway, moving on to April. On April 1st, we have a new Abby Jimenez book coming out, Say You'll Remember Me. I don't know what this one's about, but I know it's Abby Jimenez, so I'm excited to read it. Not that I'm actually caught up with her books. I really need to be caught up, but one of these days. I do remember that the main character is called Samantha, which is so strange for me because I never read books with characters called Samantha, so that's gonna be fun. But let's read the synopsis together. There might be no such thing as a perfect guy, but Xavier Rush comes disastrously close. A gorgeous veterinarian giving Greek god vibes, all while cuddling a tiny kitten? Immediately yes. That is, until Xavier opens his mouth and proves that even sculpted gods can say the absolute wrong thing. Like, really wrong. Of course, there's nothing Samantha loves more than proving an asshole wrong. Unless, of course, he can admit he made a mistake. But after one incredible and seemingly endless date, possibly the best in living history, Samantha is forced to admit the truth, that her family is in crisis and any kind of relationship would be impossible. Classic Abby Jimenez. Samantha begs Xavier to forget her, to remember their night together as a perfect moment, as crushing as that may be. Only no amount of distance or time is nearly enough to forget that something between them. And the only thing better than one single perfect memory is to make a life, and even a love, worth remembering. Well, that sounds just like Abby Jimenez, and also very sweet. I'm tentatively excited for that. The cover is very cute. There's a dog on the cover. Love to see it. And then on the 15th of April, we have Wild and Wrangled by Lila Sage. I cannot tell you how excited I am for this book. She teased this at the end of Lost and Lassoed, and I was screaming. I am so unbelievably excited for this. It is a second chance romance, which is normally not my jam. Why can't I say J's? Which is normally not my jam, but I think Lila Sage can do no wrong. Apart from Done and Dusted, that was not my favorite book, but that was also her first book, so I'm gonna give her, you know, a little bit of leeway there. But I've been very impressed with how her skill has grown across this series, so I really hope this is as good as I am hyping it up to be in my head. I don't want to tell you who the couple is gonna be because I feel like it's not a spoiler, obviously, and if you want to just read this one, then you can go ahead and do that. But I think it's really worth actually reading this whole series because I love it. So this is the fourth and I think the final book in the Rebel Blue Ranch series. It is cowboy romance set in a small town. It's very fun but also a little bit heartfelt and I just love it. This series got me into cowboy romance this year. I say it like I've read loads. I've literally only read this series and some of the Chestnut Spring series, but Lila Sage to me deserves way more hype than I think she gets. I mean, she does get a lot of hype, but she is really that girl and love this series. I can't wait for this one. If you couldn't tell, I'm very excited. And the last book for April is, of course, the new Emily Henry, Great Big Beautiful Life. All I know about this book is that it follows two writers and they are both competing for the same job, which is telling this woman's life story. And they both really want to be the one to write the book. And so it is going to be like a rivals to lovers and I can't wait. I love Emily Henry and I really like her books that are about writers. Love beach read. I love book lovers. I also love Funny Story. That one's not about writers, so that's irrelevant here. But yeah, I will give anything and everything that Emily Henry writes a try. I haven't had an 100% success rate with her, but the books that I have loved by her, I love. So hopefully this will be another one on the love list. Moving on to May. At the moment, there's only one book coming out in May that is on my radar, and that is My Name is Amelia del Valle by Isabel Allende, and this is coming out on the 6th of May. I've read a few books by Isabel Allende and I've really enjoyed her writing, so I'm excited to try out more stuff by her. But this sounds like a very hard-hitting historical fiction, which is what she typically writes. And it says, in San Francisco, 1866, an Irish nun left pregnant and abandoned following a torrid relationship with a Chilean aristocrat gives birth to a daughter named Amelia del Valle. Raised by a loving stepfather, Amelia grows into an independent thinker and a self-sufficient young woman. To pursue her passion for writing, she is willing to defy societal norms. At the age of 16, she begins to publish pulp fiction under a man's pen name. When these fictional worlds can't contain her sense of adventure any longer, she turns to journalism, convincing an editor at the San Francisco Examiner to hire her. There she is paired with another talented reporter, Eric Whelan. As she proves herself, her restlessness returns until an opportunity arises to cover a brewing civil war in Chile. She seizes it along with Eric and while there begins to uncover the truth about her father and the country that represents her roots. But as the war escalates, Amelia finds herself in danger and at a crossroads, questioning both her identity and her destiny. I am very excited excited for this one. I read her most recent release, which came out last year, I think, and that was The Wind Knows My Name, and that one was really good. So yeah, I have high hopes for this one. And finally, moving on to June, there are 2 books that are currently on my radar, and they're both coming out on the 3rd of June, and they're both by very popular authors. So first of all, we have My Friends by Frederick Bachman. I have no idea what this book is about because at the moment there's no synopsis for it, but at this point in time I've read 2 of his books and I've really enjoyed both of them, so I'm excited to read something else by him. I still need to go back and read some more of his backlist, but yeah, I'm very impressed with his writing. It's like very emotional and heavy, but at the same time he has such an interesting sense of humor which really comes through in his writing. So yeah, they just really work for me and I'm excited to read something else by him. And the other book by a popular author, which is coming out on June 3rd, is Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And I am not currently caught up with her books. I haven't read Carrie Soto's back, and I also haven't read like a lot of her backlist, but I've read 3 of her books and I've really enjoyed all of them. And this one sounds really interesting. It is set in the 1980s and it follows our main character, Joan Goodwin, who basically becomes the first female astronaut. And I'm very excited for that. I'm not like super into space or anything, but I just know that Taylor Jenkins Reid can basically write anything and make me interested in it. So yeah, I cannot wait for this one. But yes, those are all of my anticipated releases for the first half of next year. Obviously, there might be some new ones that crop up that I haven't heard of yet, but these are the ones that are on my radar. Please let me know what books you were anticipating down below. I would love to know. Let me know of any new releases that I haven't heard of that I should have heard of, because I want to try and stay more on top of new releases. I feel like I've been really bad about that this year. So yeah, let me know what you're anticipating down below. That's all that I have. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked it. If you did, please give a thumbs up. If you're new here, feel free to subscribe down below. And if you made it all the way to the end, please leave me a rocket down below for Atmosphere. But yeah, that is all. So I will see you very soon with another video. Bye!